I am so excited to talk to our guest. We have some really good, hopeful things to share with you here, but also our guest is Josh Weigel. You may not know his name, but you may know his work. It is brilliant work. He is the guy responsible for a short film called The Butterfly Circus, which if you've never seen, you must. He got the Clint Eastwood Filmmaker Award, presented by Clint Eastwood at the Carmel Film Festival for this. It's really, really good. He's got a new movie out, and it is called The Sound of Hope, and it's from Angel Studios. I'm going to play just a real quick 30-second clip from it. Here it is. Here it is.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama. Oh, Lord.
If we can't wrap our arms around the most vulnerable, then what do we have? Noise! And the children can't take the noise anymore.
So it comes out tomorrow. It's in theaters nationwide, and it's called The Sound of Hope, and it is about a Texas church that adopted 77 kids that no one wanted in the foster care system. It's a true story and unbelievable, and the guy to tell it is Josh Weigel. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Glenn. Thank you so much for having me, and all that you said, amazing.
Oh, I just love your work. Just love your work. So,
thank you.
How did you find the story of this church?
Well, my wife and I had adopted, and she was working very much in that space in Los Angeles. And so she ran across the story and met Bishop Martin, and long story short, we just felt like this story had to be told in a movie if possible. And so we just began that journey, especially after hearing the kids' stories. You know, it wrecked me.
Horrible.
And I felt like, you know, it's a tough one to get on the screen with all the characters, but we just dug in and felt like it needed to be done.
I tell you, I have several friends who grew up in the foster care system, and their stories are just nightmares. I mean, it's not Chuchescow, but it's really a horrible system that we have many, many times. And I just in seeing the way you portray some of the trauma from these kids and the things that the families had to deal with. I mean, it's not all rosy. I mean, it's hard work to take kids who have been beaten and abused in a foster care system and bring them into your home.
That's right. I mean, so these kids in particular, all kids go through extreme trauma just by losing their family, and anything related to that, just powerfully hurtful. But these kids, the 77, you know, these were the ones that were difficult to place. So that was kids who were heavily traumatized physically or sexually abused. Sibling sets, you know, they hate to break up sets of kids, which is fantastic. They try to keep them together, but it's really hard to place a lot of the time because of that.
Yes, I know.
Or teenagers, you know, we kind of have, if people want to do this, it's often like the younger ones. They're less scary, I guess. You know, it feels like there won't be as much to deal with. But they took on the ones that no one wanted, which is what really made this story stand out to me. I felt like, you know, if they can do this little average community of people had the courage to just dive in when they saw this problem, then, you know, we can all do something.
How big is the town of Possum Trot?
Yeah, so it's not even an official town. It's it's like an area, and they've just called it Possum Trot for years, which is weird as that might be. People might be surprised to hear that Kansas City, when they're trying to think of a name for Kansas City, it was between Kansas City and Possum Trot, so it must have been a big deal way back then. I don't know.
Okay,
but, you know,
so it's not. I mean, how many? The population of Possum Trot compared to this church, which seems pretty small. I mean, 77 kids. Yeah, right. How many people were involved in this?
The town, the area probably has 300 or 400 people in it, and that's sprawling. I mean, that's miles and miles of area considered Possum Trot. And so this community is more condensed, you know, in terms of the people who were involved, and the church itself, you know, probably has, you know, now, I don't know, 75 members or something. It's not a big not a big church. So, they imagine that, all those kids, and what that did to the number of people and all of that, the growth that happened so rapidly. And then you've got kids that are struggling. So it was a big thing to take on.
So what was the secret that you found at Possum Trot that we should all take away?
Well, I think on a sort of human level, we see problems all around us and so often just leave it to others to deal with, especially the government. Something like this. It's like, well, there's a foster system. Surely they'll, take care of it. But, these are human children. This is nothing that a government should be primarily responsible in terms of raising the kids, So I think we got to follow the lead of this community on one level and just go, look, there's problems that we can solve. We must solve them. We don't get to leave them to others. And if you're someone, this is about a Christian church, so that's a whole other layer of responsibility and heart. I mean, I think many of us in that place feel, but probably even more compelled to meet the needs of these kids. And then we have scriptures actually teaching us, go, James 1:27, go and visit or take care of the needs of the orphans and widows, not just keep yourself pure and unspotted from the world, but there's this need to take action and do things in the name of Jesus and follow his footsteps. So that's my feeling. And then the community, we adopted 2 kids, like I said, and it's difficult no matter what you do, but when you don't have a community around you, it's much, much harder. And this community, that's the secret there. Like, they are family. It's one big family, extended family, friends. They all do life together. And so these kids came into a very strong community and structure that, they know is always there for them. They could always come back to and just embrace them. Imagine that, just all of these different people, whether they, adopted the children or not, there's just a lot of people around to become that together family.
So, I think our churches have become more theoretical, and church has become a building, and it's not meant to be a building. When they talk about it in the scriptures and they say the church, they don't mean the building; they mean the people that are following. And being a Christian, a true Christian, is really hard. Not because it makes you unpopular, but because there's so much required to do that most of us are just like, you know what? I'm gonna write a check. I'm gonna help out. Right. That's not what this is, and this is truly about building community and doing the things you don't want to do, but you're required to do, and you're required to do it with joy. And man, sometimes that sucks.
Well, I mean, that is a powerful reality, and I think what's so interesting, and honestly, I think the silver lining in that is that as you are called into these hard things, and I'm just talking about Christians. I think humans, we have a conscience, but you've got people saying they're following Jesus in particular, and they ought to do the things that Jesus did and follow where he goes, and he's always going to the broken things, and we were all broken, right? So there is that part of it that kind of sounds like, geez, do I really have to do this? Can't I just be an American with a white picket fence? And the answer, of course, is no. But what happens, and in my experience, is once you step into it, I mean, you have everything you need. I think we hear this word grace a lot, and I think that's a big part of what we mean by it, is that God is going to meet you with what you need when you step in. Maybe not even before. You might have to step into it first, and then all of a sudden you're full of everything you need. Yes. And that's a struggle. But I mean, the things that disturb us the most in this world, I feel a responsibility as a Christian to do what I can to resolve them. That's what it means to be light and salt, and all these things we're metaphorically, just talked about as. And I think that's something that's missing right now in America. It's beautiful. We have incredible blessings. Thank God for them. The world has been blessed by America more than anything else. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it can lull you to sleep. It can numb you. It can make you put off discomfort that you ought to bear. And so we made this movie to highlight that a community actually stepped in and did hard stuff like we all should do.
Yeah.
And they were met with what they needed. And then, we could talk about the movie too, though. It's a movie. It's not just
it's great.
a pill to swallow.
Yeah. So let me just spend 1 minute just on that. I'm sure you remember, Josh, when Christian films were just the worst. They were the worst. And we have made such incredible progress at such a fast, rapid rate. And the industry is changing. And you can now tell your friends who aren't necessarily Christian, you got to go see this movie. And it's not a preacher, it's not a preachy kind of, I want to convert you and get you baptized. It's a good movie first. What's changed? How much has this changed to get us from where we were just a few years ago to here? Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot, I think. I mean, I can mostly speak from my perspective. I think it first starts with just refusing to do things that aren't, that you can't do well, and I think you have to expect a certain level of ability and excellence and skill. And you also have to know and understand the art form so that you don't misuse it. It's been so used as a tool to preach and spread messages rather than, let it be what it is and bring all the great things to it as a movie so that people actually enjoy a movie. And that's, for this one, I insisted on that. It's just how we work. It's like, if we're going to go and make a movie, then it ought to be all of the great things that we want and love and bring us into those theaters and keep bringing us back. So I think it's critical. I mean, if you like Christian movies, I think you'll like this movie. It's got a ton of Jesus and all the rest, but I don't even really look at it as a Christian movie. It's
Correct.
It's so based on the real world. Authenticity was a big discussion throughout. Like, we have got to capture the real story, these kids, what they lived through, what these families dealt with. So the acting, it's like there's so much that's worked, that's come together, that has imbued it with this powerful authenticity. And what we're seeing is dramatic results. I mean, people are so moved. And as a creator, it's the best thing you can hear, but just in all kinds of different ways. Kids who've gone through it, who've grown up, are now experiencing the movie and having a powerful emotional experience, and just go down the line. So it's something I think you will really love the experience of the movie. We're not saying, hey, please help us out, go see our movie. No. Swallow this bitter pill. It's like, no, it does
a good
have
movie
to say. It's a good movie. It's something to say, but you're going to enjoy it.
It's one of those movies you walk away feeling better. I love movies where you can walk away from it and say, wow, I just feel so good. That was such a great experience, and you've captured that. Joshua, thank you so much. Thanks for all that you do. If you'd like to see this movie, it is out this weekend. You can get tickets now at angel.com/Beck, angel.com/Beck. Find a theater near you. Grab your tickets now. Take your family, take your friends. It's a great independent. You want independence. The Lord gives you independence, and this film will show you the path to real spiritual independence in just an entertaining and really good story sort of way. The Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. It releases tomorrow. Grab your tickets now at angel.com/Beck. Joshua, thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate it so much.